I'll start with Travis. Yeah, give him the open. We're joined by Bacchus March coach Travis Hodgson and Sunbury coach Rick Horwood ahead of their second semi-final clash at the Eastern Oval on Saturday. Obviously some pretty excited players and supporters for both teams at the weekend. And first of all, Travis, you've enjoyed a lot of success throughout your footy career, but what do you think about the atmosphere in the rooms after that win the other day?
Yeah, no, it was pretty exciting for supporters of the club and the players, no doubt. But I think we celebrated for about 10 minutes and then started thinking about Sunbury. It certainly, it was a good night for the club.
There's no doubt that I think the supporters were well and truly. They're the ones you've got to keep a lid on, I think, at the moment. Just first of all, just any injury concerns as you heading towards this big match?
Yeah, Liam Noonan finished up. He only played the last time. He hurt his shoulder, but he's probably a 50-50 chance to play this week. And Lockie Filan was a late withdrawal with a heel injury, and we're pretty confident that he'll come up.
Okay, well, the fact that you've got the double chance retained, and that means you've got a bit of leeway that if you want to rest a player, you certainly don't have to take chances this week.
Yeah, look, our focus has certainly been, although we do have that, our focus has been on winning the game in front of us and giving little thought to that double chance. But yeah, you're right. If one of them's not quite right, we won't play them.
Rick, switching goes to you, obviously a pretty good win at the weekend over the reigning Premier Daly. It's a win you had to have, of course, to stay in the hunt. You've lost Tim Hill through suspension. Any other issues as far as injuries go?
No injuries. Timmy's the only one that'll be missing. So we've played about 33 players this year, so there's a good squad to pick from. We've got the Guthrie brothers, Tanner Bell, Hanson, there's Roger Allen, all played seniors this year, so we think we'll be okay.
The choice there. How did the players pull up? Obviously, finals always pretty physical. No exception down at Daly at the weekend.
Yeah, it was a physical game and held us in good stead actually, because the query at the start was always how our young guys were going to perform, in the final. The previous two elimination finals they've lost, but yeah, it was a really physical game and they stood up well. And I was really proud of the way that they kept their eye on the footy and the way they played.
Because that's the sort of game that Bacchus Marsh played too. They're strong-bodied, they're hard at the ball, and you'll expect nothing less again this week.
Yeah, no, you would have watched the vision. And, I think all the four teams still left are all pretty physical, all good, strong midfield.
And Travis, what's your plan of attack against Sunbury? Be hoping to shut down and cover Savage?
Oh no, look, we'll back Burton in that one. Burton's been terrific for us all year, and look, we've only played a defensive role on a player for 60 minutes this year. That's it. So it's not really our style. But we'd certainly back Burton to go head-to-head in that one.
And it must be pretty exciting given the fact that you sort of hadn't played finals in more than a decade now to be in the semi-final.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of excitement leading into last week. I think it's changed a little bit now from excitement to focus, which is a good thing. We probably pretty scrappy in that first half on the weekend, and look, the nerves showed a little bit. We overcome that at half time, and I think now the boys are really sort of focused on business. So yeah, looking forward to a good performance.
What do you think will give Bacchus Marsh the advantage?
Oh, look, I don't think there's anything between the four sides in it. I think it pretty much just comes down to playing your best footy in the day. We're pretty strong forward at the footy, there's no doubt about that. Solid down back, and I think we break even most weeks on ball. But whilst the pinpoint advantage, I'd say forward at the footy, we're pretty good. But yeah, ultimately, I think we've beat Lake Winnery once, they've rolled us twice. We've won zip on Sunbury by 3 goals, and Red Air's beaten us. I think the side that turns up on the day will win the final for the rest of the way through.
What's been the experience of that final? What's it done for your players? You mentioned that so there's more of a focus this week rather than that real buzz around the place. It's down to business. What can you see that in the players?
Yeah, I can. There was probably some guys that might have been a little too excited last week. That's normal, you expect that, and certainly they're different this week. I can see that. So you make allowances for it. You half expect it, and we got a little bit of it. I think anyone who saw last week's first half saw that we were pretty sloppy around the footy and that, and made a lot of poor decisions early in the game. But I think they've settled now, and I think they've realised that even though the intensity goes up in finals footy, it's a game of footy. The same things that win you games in round 2 and 3 are the things that win you games in finals. And I think our boys are really honest in their effort. They play a style of footy that's going to stand up in finals. I think we saw that on the weekend.
Just turn attention to Rick for a moment. Obviously, Bacchus Marsh has built a potent forward line this year with Damien Cubido coming in to join Cam Richardson, Jarrah Maximo also bobs up and down both in midfield and in attack. And if those guys are going, so is Bacchus Marsh. And obviously there'll be a pretty strong focus on keeping those guys quiet.
Yeah, I think looking at the game, trying to analyse it and that, I think the forwards that take their opportunity and convert, that's where it's going to be won. I think we pretty much break even across the mids. So if both of our back lines can stand up and limit those opportunities, that's where it's going to be won and lost, I think. Finals usually won by the team that kicks more accurate. So I think there's going to be plenty of opportunities, plenty of forward entries from both sides. So that's where it's going to be won and lost, I think.
What's the mindset of your team this week? Obviously last week it's do or die. This week you've earned a double chance. You still want to win, get the direct pass in the grand final. Do you have to work on that mindset to make sure that they're not sort of thinking along that line?
No, we haven't spoke about a double chance all year. We both finished on the same amount of wins, losses for the year. It was only a percentage that separated. We haven't played since round 1, so both teams are 5 or 6 players different from that round. Looks like. So no, we haven't actually even discussed a second chance or anything like that. So only focusing on the game ahead and who it is week to week. We've probably focused on that since the North City loss 7-8 weeks ago.
What about the ground itself? Do you think it has an advantage Eastern Oval to either team?
I was there Sunday, working in the canteen. It was looked all right to me. I think you'll play a final anywhere. Centre looked pretty hard, so I suppose I'll put a bit of water on it. But it's a beautiful country type of atmosphere, and it's a good ground. We've played there before, playing into finals, so I don't think it's going to be a problem for us. Just on that, Trev, obviously early in the year we were focused on the importance of starting to win in Ballarat, if you like, and the Eastern Oval was a ground you wanted to get your players playing good football on. Probably took them a half, but they found that form that you really want on that ground last week.
Yeah, there's no doubt it feels pretty good to walk away having won there, because it had been a long time. So, and although obviously over the years the sides struggled in certain years and sent probably some average sides up there, and that's probably contributed to the fact that we hadn't won there for a while. We were really disappointing there in round 3 against the East. Our only crack on it this year, so I think it was important just for our mindset that we were able to play well there, regardless of the result. We played some pretty good footy there, which was pleasing.
How important will a good start be this week? I mean, last week, in a sense, as you said, you were scrappy, fumbly, but really get to this point of the season, and that could cost you the game next time.
Yeah, it could. The deeper you go, the harder they are to win, and I think to play as ball as we did in the first half, although a lot of it was just not taking opportunities and making silly mistakes. I'd rather start the way we finished last week than start the way we started. So.
All right, so it's a long time since you've played Sunbury, but it is where you live, Sunbury, so obviously you know a fair bit about them. And, so where do you get the edge and that upper hand to get through the grand final this week?
Yeah, again, I think it's just the side that plays better footy in the day. I know it sounds pretty plain, but I think our best opportunity, and Rick's already touched on it, is forward of the footy. A lot of people talk about Cubido, Maximo and Richardson, but kids like Lockie Filan, Reece McNay, Hamish Coulton, and even Deck Filan. I think that's been our strength. It's not hard to shut down 2 or 3 players, and our strength's been that our 4th, 5th and 6th forward have really had an impact on games. So if we put enough ball inside 50, which is an if, then I think we'll be pretty hard to beat.
Same question to you, Rick. You've been in finals over time. It takes. What do you see as the key to getting over Bacchus Marsh?
We did get off to a really good start last week, and you can see the difference between the previous years. So I think the experience that group's built over the last 2 years came to the fore on the weekend. We've obviously recruited some experienced players as well, so we don't rely on one or two people to kick goals. We're pretty similar to Bacchus Marsh actually. We're even spread with goal kickers. So yeah, like I said, you can shut someone down and someone else stands up. So we're asking for an even spread, even contribution from all our players, and you don't win too many finals unless you get 20, 21 blokes working together. So you don't carry too many in finals and still win. So we'll be asking our players to continue on from last week, the way they played. We made a pretty crucial mistake putting a player on the ground, and it's quite funny. There's a new calculator outside the coach's box so that we can count 22 players. So the boys had a bit of fun with that. But obviously we lost our points last week for the third quarter, and it showed really true grit for the players and toughness to come out, because we lost 20 points to go out at three-quarter time and say, look, the score was 52-34, not 72. I thought it showed, showed a bit of maturity from that young group, and so we're expecting a really tough game. The footage only went up last night, so I got up at 4 this morning and watched the game, and it looked like a game of two halves, and obviously they'll watch it and learn from it, and you only get better from playing finals. So Bacchus Marsh, I think, will focus on the start this week, and we'll be doing the same. So I think it's going to be a really good game.
We could just ask one last question of either of you. It's about the ruckman. There's no doubt two of the best ruckmen in the competition. I think Rick's got no doubt that his man David Kovacevic is number one in the competition, but I don't think there's anything between them, because Daniel Burden has just been an absolute star for Bacchus Marsh this season. Every time he plays well and gets the ball down to the likes of Tyson Shays and the rest of that midfield, Bacchus Marsh goes well. Just a last one to you, Travis. How important has his play been this year, because he's such a clean tap ruckman?
We might not be sitting here having this conversation without him. That's how good he's been for us. So he was recruited to the club as a full forward. Tom Wardell broke his foot over Christmas, so Burton played his practice matches forward and was thrown to the ruck for the first time v Sunbury round 1. So they have come head to head once. Kovacevic got him in the headouts and Burton got him around the ground, and that's a fair call, mate.
Spot on.
So it was a pretty good battle, and that's Burton's strength. He wins most weeks in the headouts, but he's an extra player around the ground. And probably the big thing for us, he was great round 1, but he's improved significantly. He's a much better player, much better ruckman now than he was back then. So yeah, very important.
Well, what about your man, Rick? Obviously, he's combined very strongly with the likes of Alec Magan, who we know you're an absolute rap for. And but how important has that key ruckman been all year?
Well, I'm a bit biased. David's, he's had a terrific year this year, and the last 6 weeks he's really carried the side and led from the front. So it's going to be worth paying the money to come and watch those two, and I think both of them are looking forward to the challenge. They haven't played since round 1. And it's pretty well documented that your bloke got the points, we thought, that round 1, so we've kind of been letting David know that. So, I think it's a crucial part of the game, and it's going to be worth coming to see. So, our backup ruckman's pretty good too, and yours as well. McNabb.
Yeah, yes,
he's good tap ruckman as well. So, they both get a bit of a breather through other ruckmen, and a lot of the other sides haven't got 2 quality guys, so we're pretty similar in that stage as well. So it's going to be worth coming to see, and hopefully my bloke comes out on top.
Well, it's going to be an interesting battle, as it is right across the ground. So we wish both Bacchus Marsh and Sunbury all the best this weekend at the Eastern Oval in the second semi-final. Thank you. 3, 2. Okay, we're with Redan coach Eamon Gill and Lake Wendouree mentor Gavin Webb as they build towards the Ballarat Football League first semi-final this weekend at the Eastern Oval. It's a knockout, and Eamon, obviously you're delighted to be still in the running for a premiership.
Yeah, look, obviously Sunday's result was pretty good. North City missed a couple of easy chances just before half-time, and we're able to then, in the second half, get the game on our terms and come away with a good win. And everything's looking good now coming into Sunday.
First of all, let's look at a couple of injury situations. Ryan Waite limped off the ground, looked like a hamstring in the last couple of minutes of the game. What's been the news since on him?
Yeah, look, he's done his hamstring good and proper. He won't play this week. Dan Colbert and Chris Giampolo, both under an injury cloud. No point hiding it. I'm sure Webby would have seen Chris Giampolo walking around at school. Yeah, look, to be honest, they will give them both as long as possible. Being seen the physio, our club physio, Simon Ellis, thinks that they're both realistically a 50-50 chance to play. Giving a Sunday game, and we played Sunday, they're still only in the early stages of recovery. So, yeah, look, I'd be hopeful that one of them get up to play, but the reality is both of them would be highly doubtful.
What's the problems with those two players?
Chris has got a bad ankle, and Dan Colbert has a bad calf.
And what about on the plus side? Obviously, your Dean Chester was unable to come up for the elimination final, but you mentioned after the game that all things being equal, hopefully he'll be available.
Yeah, look, Dean was very close to playing last week. To be honest, we could have rolled the dice with him and played him, but we didn't, and now it's worked in our favour. He'll definitely play on Saturday. And Dan Watson played his first game back in over a month as well, after a hamstring injury as well. So he played in the reserves on Saturday, and they're a good win over East Point. You know, he's also a possibility to come back into the side.
You've got plenty of depth, so that's one of the bonuses. You've got a successful reserves team, and so you've got a few options there, obviously.
Yeah, look, we do. That's, I guess, the beauty about the Redan Footy Club. In my time, we've been extremely lucky that our reserves have been very competitive and won premierships. You know, we always play close to 40 players every year, and you know there is a good 6 or 7 players that are vying for a couple of positions. Gavin
Webb, let's deal with injuries as well. First off, of the Lakers, who still got Nathan Pring and Tanner Robertson above among a couple in the wings.
Yeah, Pringer was close to playing last week. He just put up a bit sore after training, and we just didn't want to take the risk. So, provided he trains, which he will, and then it's more about how he pulls up. We'll train tonight and Friday, so it's more how he pulls up Saturday morning, to be honest. But he was very close last week, so he should be right this week. Tanner Robertson's the same. Trained last week, but just didn't come up. So he, fingers crossed, is a fair chance to come in, provided he's fit. So, yeah, there'll be at least 2 changes, more than likely. So.
Anything else out of the game? Didn't look to be anything on the injury front of players that actually went around?
Oh, not really. Look, Tom Carey had the last quarter off again, a little bit precautionary, but he should get up. He's just had an ongoing foot problem, so he'll just push through that and keep going. So
this is not a game you would have expected to be playing in a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, you worked hard for a double chance, and that's what double chances are all about. You've now got it, but now it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
And obviously there would have been disappointment, but you move on from there. You're still alive. And what's the approach this week?
Yeah, certainly disappointment, and full credit to Bacchus Smash. They played exceptional football in the second half, led us to the ball and moved the ball really well. So we've addressed that. We had our review meeting Monday. We looked at some vision and we've put that to bed. We've got to learn from it, and we have to respond. If we don't respond, watching Redan, and we know what Redan are capable of, we'll be knocked out. So yeah, the guys need to respond, and that's the challenge of it all. Yeah, we earned that double chance. We've now lost that, so we need to get back on the bike and play well this Sunday.
And what's your plan of attack? Are you hoping to shut down, I guess, Redan's experienced players?
Yeah, look, Redan are very even. They do have a fair bit of experience, but they've also got some younger ones that have become important players over the last year or two. So, you know, both midfields are exceptionally strong, with depth and physical strength as well. So that's obviously going to be a pretty big part in this match, I would have thought. So, and then they've got some key forwards that we need to match up on, and you know, some of our defenders had their colours lowered on the weekend, so they've got a big challenge to go. You know, whether it's Reardon, Bell, Colbert, these guys up forward for it in. So.
And is Horbury a player you're looking to shut down?
Damien or Nathan? Nathan, yeah, no, definitely. Look, Nathan, as we all know, is one of the best players in the competition. So whether he plays midfield or he played halfback on the weekend, we'll plan for sort of both scenarios. And he's very difficult to stop. But if we can slightly reduce his impact on the game, we'd be happy with that. It's impossible to totally shut him down. So,
got an interesting scenario. We've got Redan, who kept North Ballarat City goalless after half time. Yourselves, who were kept goalless after the break. What do you do to try and, that's probably as much above the shoulders as anything up that sort of problem, because kicking goals hasn't been an issue all year.
No. Look, we need to get back to playing the brand of footy that suits us, and back a smash stifle that on the weekend. So we need to be confident with our ball movement and take the game on a bit more, I think, than what we did last week. So certainly going to be very contested and in tight against Redan, like all the finals matches will be, and we're on the weekend. So there's going to be a fierce battle inside, and then we need to move the ball quick and try and capitalise. So.
Team back to Redan, and obviously this week you've announced that you won't be coaching on after this season, so obviously there's a personal drive. It wouldn't make any difference, I realise that, whether that was the case or not, but you want to extend your coaching tenure all the way and get that ultimate.
Yeah, that's no different for anyone, whether they're going on or not. To be honest, the club, the board have known all year pretty much, and the playing group have known now for a while as well. It's probably been out in the public now for a couple of days, but whether I was going on or not, it means no different. Would still be wanting to win, that's for sure.
Well, what do you think was the key in at the weekend to really, you really put the screws on and things you just wore them down, and it just came together? Yeah,
look, last week when we were sitting here, Geordie said that speed of play was their greatest asset. So for us, it was about trying to slow that speed of play, and we're able to do that for long enough to get the result that we needed.
Probably a similar asset of Lake Wendouree there, the speed that they move the ball, not necessarily all about pace. So obviously that's got to be another focus again this weekend.
Yeah, the reality is out of the 5-6 clubs that are in the finals, all of them move the ball really quick, whether with leg speed or the way they kick and move the footy on angle. So that's been one of Lake Wendouree's great assets all year. So we'll have a similar focus at trying to slow them down.
During the year, there's been some great battles, and particularly in the last few weeks with defenders shutting down key forwards. And Liam Hoy's job on Derek Micallef was exceptional at the weekend. Does he line up on Pitson this week, who's one of the league goal kickers as well?
Yeah, potentially. Look, I think most people in this room would know Liam Hoy. He's no fool. He's a damn good player, and whether we use him, Pat Britt, Matt Colbert, Ryan Bell, our captain Jarrett Giampolo, those guys haven't potentially all played together all year, whether it be injury or Liam had a later start to the year. They've really gelled really well together the last couple of weeks, and we'll be asking them to do the same again on Lake Wendouree's prime movers up forward.
You've had the same sort of tasks given to your defenders too, and they've been able to deliver a few weeks ago against Bacchus Marsh leading into the finals, so you'd be pretty confident with the way, in general terms, your defence has worked.
Yeah, look, over the year we've been able to restrict teams. We've got a reasonably versatile defence. There's sort of three key backs, I suppose, and most clubs know who those guys are. And that might change from quarter to quarter, or if there's a certain forward that's getting on top, we just need to swing things around and change things up a bit there. So that's just coaching to the moment, I suppose. And sometimes you've got to back your players, and we understand Redan are going to kick goals, so you've got to be a little bit patient, but we do have some options there. So
I guess in wrapping up, in a sense, how do the Lakers reignite their premiership campaign this week?
Yeah. I suppose some personal pride for a few players that had very quiet matches, need to respond individually, and then as a group we need to bounce back. That's the challenge of it. That's the beauty of sport and life. So there's an opportunity there still to progress into next week, and the whole season's been so even and there's been ups and downs. So we've just had a down, and we need to push through that and get back on the bike. So
you haven't fallen off the bike at Redan, and well and truly a great way to start the the finals. It was the only option, of course, to win. And how do you keep that going and shut down and close down the power, particularly in the midfield, but to get the win against the Lakers?
Yeah, look, as I said earlier, last week's game was a good result, but that's gone now. The Lake Wendouree Football Club are very proud and have a lot of pride, so they will be coming with everything. That, you know, as Webby said, they had a couple of guys in the second half that didn't play to their normal level. I'm sure that you know, if we give them a chance, they'll you know, run rings around us all day. So we have to be ready to go right from the start. And if we bring, you know, a similar type of game style that we did last week, we're full chance to you know, hopefully play really well.
Eamon Gill and Gavin Webb, thanks for your time today and good luck. It's a big game coming up, no second chances, and we wish both Redan and Lakers all the best. Thanks very much.
Thank you.